What's up there, Kevin?
Hey, Greg.
Good
Talk to
morning,
you.
Kevin. Usually
Talk to you.
Kevin has something going on simultaneously to the to the community briefing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm good for the first half hour, and I got to jump to a Digital Divide Coalition meeting. But
See?
I, I need to clone myself. But I'm glad to be here.
I
Well, we're
spoke to your
glad to
sister.
have you.
Spoke to your sister-in-law this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, today's her birthday.
Yeah, Renee.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I see
Okay, we
Stephen Turner out there.
can. All right, we can get going.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening to a few of you, and those watching the replay. Welcome to the community briefing. Today is the 28th of July, 2022, and we are glad you're here. Our guest today is Mr. Alex Lawrence, representing the University California of Los Angeles, and he'll be telling us more about that campus, that institution of higher learning, and institution of athletics as well. Big athletic program going on there. My name is Gregory Sneed. Name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services. I help my clients keep more of the money that they make, and I do that using life insurance products, financial coaching, and financial literacy. Because I firmly believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. And if you and your money would like to get back on speaking terms, I can help you out. I'll have some information in the chat, and love to have a conversation with you so we can help you hold on to more of your money. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome to the virtual stage the queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you. Alex, you have brought out the big boys. We got Henry in the house and Dr. Walker and Lawrence. Look at that. And Mr. Kevin. Thank you guys for coming on out. Got a great show today. Alex is going to really give us some information about UCLA and Anderson and all of the great things that's going on in the academic world, which is so important. My name is Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-host and with this wonderful team of the community briefing, as well as the business zone with Crystal and Gilbert. And I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. This platform is sponsored and powered by Recycling Black Dollars and the Black Business Association, the BBA. And we have some other financial sponsors that we do thank: Edison, Wells Fargo, and SoCal Gas. So thank you guys so much. Um, this platform was created during the pandemic to make sure that we had a voice. We knew exactly what was going on during the pandemic, and anyone that was making promises to us, we had a platform to hold them accountable. And so, but it's also to introduce you to your leaders and stakeholders who are making decisions on our behalf. So it's very important that as small business, as a community, and as small business owners and entrepreneurs, that we actually know exactly what's going on, so that we can make better decisions in our business. So we want to thank you so much for being here. Alex, I appreciate you being here. Our team, Mr. Greg Sneed, Mr. Stephen Turner, and Ms. Robin Phillips, we try to do our best to bring you the best. So we want you to go out and share and support this platform, to make sure others come back and glean the information. I am going to be here for a short period of time. I have kids that are competing in a business competition tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So we are on the ropes right now, and I have to make sure I'm over there cracking the whip so that they don't embarrass me, the instructor. Very important. But there's a program that we do is the Los Angeles Urban League Biz Camp. We run it every year, and we have about 40 kids over there from the ages of 10 to 18 that are going to be competing tomorrow morning with their businesses. So it's a passion project that I absolutely love doing, so that we can have more people to come to UCLA. And my alma mater is SC. Sorry, guys, at SC. No, 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 no. So thank you, guys. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Gregory Sneed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Every now and then we have guests who have attended both universities.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Yep. The recording stopped. Yep.
Yeah, because I just made you the co-host. You got to make the recording happen now.
All right, let's go back here. Record. Record as loud. All right. And are we still streaming? Yes, you'll see the Facebook. Okay, good. Well, we're back. So, a little editing for you to do later. Welcome back to the community briefing. Today, our guest is Mr. Alex Lawrence, and about to share some information with you about him. He is the Assistant Dean and Director of NBA Admissions and Financial Aid at UCLA Anderson School of Management. So he has been an assistant dean there. He has demonstrated a history of working in the higher education industry. He's also skilled in nonprofit organizations, budgeting, business planning, analytical skills, and entrepreneurship. He has strong community and social services, and he's a professional with an MBA focused in entrepreneurship and finance from University of California, Los Angeles, the Anderson School of Business. He's been there since August of 2012, so that's 10 years, almost to the day, right? August is coming up. August is around the corner. And he was executive director of the Reardon programs for 8 years, from 2004 to 2012. He was with Capgemini Consulting and Management Consulting for 4 years. He was with iMation as a senior controls engineer. He got his Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering from Drexel University. Also, a Master's of Science in Electrical Engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology. And he has his MBA from UCLA, Anderson School of Management. I have no idea where he grew up. He's going to share that with us. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to high school? So he'll share this with us in a moment. But please welcome us, welcome me, welcome him to the virtual stage, Mr. Alex Lawrence.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Crystal. Thanks, Stephen, also for the invitation to join this morning. And like you said, I see some heavy hitters, so that's really raising the bar here. So hopefully information I do provide is something to can take back to the community and just keep on expanding the awareness. That's what you'll hear throughout my sort of brief comments. But since Greg, you asked about where I did grow up, et cetera, I know that's not on my LinkedIn, but what I'll share is that I'm originally from New Jersey. So I'm an East Coast guy. So grew up with parents and older brother and sister. So I was the baby of the family. And just by the nature of what you can see on the LinkedIn profile, I bounced around. So I went to school in Philadelphia and Atlanta. I actually worked in the Midwest for a year at 3M in the Twin Cities, because that was the only company that was having operations on the West Coast. I wanted to go out to California after I graduated from Georgia Tech. They said, though, you have to work in the Twin Cities for at least 1 year. And so on day 366, I was out of there. I packed up the car and drove out with my dad. And, fast forward many, many years later, here I am, always trying to pay it forward as we Bruins do, always giving back to the community. And, we're always looking people to help our Bruin community better, and of course, making the world better. So, but like I was given the charge with a couple of topics to speak on, and anybody who knows me is just like, if you give me the microphone and the stage, I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to I was told only 15, 20 minutes, and then just answer as many questions as I possibly can. So,
we'll bring the Sandman on just in case, I'll cue up the music. With Sandman. And for those of you, the Twin Cities is Minneapolis, St. Paul. And where in New Jersey? Jersey's a whole state.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I grew up in Trenton. So, anybody who's been following sports, I think Mo just won world championships in 800 meters. She won the gold medal last year in the Olympics, 800 meters. She's from Trenton, New Jersey. So, I have to get a shout out to her and what she's doing. Watch out. She's going to win the next championships and gold medal too. So, but
exit five, exit five,
say again, I'm sorry.
exit five on the bike.
There you go. Exactly. Anybody who knows those turnpikes, right? So, yeah, like I was saying, when I first received the invite and topics to focus on, I was and still am in the midst of recruiting individuals for business schools, class of 24 and beyond. But however, I wanted to take off my UCLA badge and think about what I've seen in the industry overall, best practices, areas of opportunities. Now, again, just share some brief comments before we go into some question and answer. So the first question was, what role does our institutions of higher learning play in identifying, recruiting, and developing Black business leaders in the global world economy? And when I was thinking about, the existing forms of identifying and recruiting talent have changed, but there's still a lot of room to grow in that area. My own experience was one that, including standardized testing, some levels of awareness of careers, but very little in the business space because my community didn't have that experience. I'm sure that for many on this call, that may also be true. There was more of a focus or awareness on becoming a doctor or a lawyer, working for the government, maybe something that provided health benefits. But now there's been so much disruption in education, in professional careers over the past 20 years, especially within the last 3 years, coming out of the COVID period where access to technology, social change, awareness, economic disparities are among many that have impacted Blacks. I think higher education is still highly valued in the Black community, but the representation in many institutions continue to be challenged. For example, at UCLA, the undergraduate population is around 5%, 6% that are Black. And even at the graduate school level, they're even smaller. But meanwhile, the overall Black population in Los Angeles is around 9 or 10%. So obviously areas and room for growth in that area. I think many of the schools like UCLA are definitely challenged, but looking for how can they make these opportunities aware, how can they recruit and yield these candidates, which I can answer and talk about a little bit later. But this is what I think schools should be doing, and then I'll talk about the business community as well. From a communication and marketing efforts, to the communities, I have found consistently that lack of awareness is a major hurdle for individuals to even explore the opportunities at UCLA and other schools, as well as the career opportunities. And with that outreach, the institutions need to continue changing the optics that match the audience. There are a lot of DEI efforts have been at the forefront of the best institutions over the past few years, but there still may be that struggle to achieve those outreach goals if you don't have the right personnel executing a strategic plan, have buy-in and training for the organization to welcome those individuals on campus, especially after you get them excited, which leads me to my next point. Again, the best institutions not only rely on those marketing and virtual platforms, the email campaigns to deliver the message, say, especially in social media, TikTok and more, but you have staff going out into the community to find individuals, partnering with other organizations to help build and connect with the talent. There are many pipeline programs, 100 Black Men of Los Angeles, Young Black Scholars, the Reardon programs at UCLA, the Consortium for Graduate Study and Management, MLT, Jack and Jill, CML. There's just a laundry list of programs, but that awareness by individuals of knowing what those are, how to participate, what are the resources that they provide is still sort of, again, being a member of the Board of Trustees for the Consortium, that awareness piece is just huge, just making sure individuals know what's available to them and how to take advantage, even become competitive applicants. I think institutions still need to provide the appropriate level of access to those resources for understanding the opportunities. I mentioned before how to apply successfully, putting together a competitive profile compared to the overall application pool. Fortunately, in my opinion, you've seen things like standardized test scores starting to go into the area of optionality. Candidates don't necessarily have to provide those, but that means that there's even more of a focus on other parts of, say, an undergraduate application or even a graduate application. In other areas, just understanding how career services could play a role in the individual's development. Financial aid, and I'm not talking solely about loans, but actual fellowships provided by schools to make the experience school affordable. And in some cases, schools are paying the entire tuition bill, which can be as much as $180,000 for graduate school. So individuals just being aware of like the opportunities to finance their education is important, because sometimes they put those hurdles in front and don't even look at these academic opportunities, thinking that that's not maybe necessary or available to him or her because of the cost. But my main point is taking as much friction out of the system as possible to place Blacks in a position to succeed. On the development side, I think institutions need to make sure there's an environment that is welcoming and supportive. But again, what does that mean? Just thinking about our Black students, schools need to define measures of success. It's not just about enrolled numbers, but rather focusing on measuring the racial climate on campus, and helping Black students have a feeling of belonging and an attachment to the school, especially with the numbers being as small as they are on many campuses. Creating a safe and brave spaces to help build authentic and sustained relationships, and at the same time provide those tools, those skills to do so effectively. Another point is that the best schools create anti-racist, they must create anti-racist values as part of their core values. When schools counter anti-Black stereotypes, modifying their curricula to further develop or deepen their overall student body racial literacy, then the campus climate will only flourish. And for as long as I've been at UCLA, almost 20 years, I've seen it get better. It's still not perfect, but even coming down from the chancellor's office, the response time has improved. Leaders at the top taking a stand in many cases, and making sure that at the university that certain behaviors will not be tolerated, and encouraging individuals to speak up. So again, for as long as I've been at the campus at UCLA, and talking with my peers at other schools, Stanford, Princeton, Harvard, UPenn, just seeing that behavior and that improvement in making the campus more welcoming is definitely encouraging to me. Again, before, in wrapping up, talking about professionals, ongoing training for professionals, Black professionals specifically, is at the top of the list. And I think that's low-hanging fruit for any institution. Programs and services that help individuals build community and capabilities are a must. In that way, Blacks can dive into challenges of being a leader in any organization or community. I'm sure many have been in organizations where, as a leader, you must manage the power dynamic up and down the corporate ladder. Institutions, especially research institutions like UCLA, can leverage faculty from, say, the behavioral sciences, in addition to finance, strategy, marketing departments, to help you build communication skills, leadership strategies, and more for those tough situations in any organization. Now, the second question I was asked to address, or maybe touch on briefly, was how can our business schools and business organizations support a pipeline of the business professionals to not only compete, but be industry leaders. I think just being on the cutting edge of delivering a curricula to build skills, that's like one of the critical element. For example, data and analytics, because when you look at the job market in particular, there's more demand for professionals who can manage, analyze, and apply data to improve business operations. The best schools will have that as part of the course selections, maybe even a specialization or a concentration in an area. More and more schools are STEM certified as part of the degree. I think just, again, preparing our individuals for the workforce and giving them the skill sets that are required, that are demanded, will only make individuals, especially early in their career, to flourish. Mentoring, a huge component too. I mentioned the Reardon programs and some other organizations earlier. They've been doing it for decades, having mentoring as a component, leveraging maybe, for example, business school students who are coming from outside regional areas, who have different diverse backgrounds than the individuals that they're mentoring. I know there are affinity groups in some of the larger organizations that can have individuals serve as role models to help with the transition into the workplace. So mentors are just a great way to expand the window of awareness for Blacks to understand the academic and career opportunities that he or she may not have been aware of before. In the past few years, and even more so now, some organizations are moving toward like a purpose-driven capitalism that focuses on shareholder value and shared value. So business schools need to continue sharing and teaching those capabilities inside and outside the classroom, helping individuals understand collective leadership capabilities, how to earn trust, and more. Those organizations need to build an environment where individuals can grow, empowering them with the resources to flourish, work on those leadership qualities in order to be the industry leaders that we all want. And then one final area of opportunity that I want to mention is continuous learning and alumni support, especially those who are experienced. Services that need to be ramped up at schools, as well as in partnership with organizations, in my opinion, are career coaching, providing research of the marketplace to identify those career opportunities, career transition resources, and more. Schools in the business community should support executive education to help individuals drive innovation, have an impact within the organization, just help individuals think about career moves and progression to controlling that career direction. So with that, those are just a few thoughts. Definitely can dive into more of my experiences with Reardon programs at UCLA Anderson, the board with the consortium, management leader for tomorrow. But I'll turn it back over to you, Greg.
Share with us, what's the approximate enrollment in the Anderson School of Management there at UCLA?
So yes, there is 360 students in one particular class that we're focused on for the full-time MBA program.
360.
Yes.
And what's the share of sort of, I would call them maybe domestic versus international students, those who are from the US and those who are matriculating from other countries?
Sure. It's about a 60-40 split. So 60% of the class are domestic and 40% are international.
And what about those from California? Does that also apply for the Anderson School? I know that it used to be sort of reduced admission for students in the state of California. How does that work on the MBA side?
Yeah, so we don't necessarily, mark that against anybody who is residing in California. Many years ago, we did have a sort of a differential in the program charges. Those who are from California versus outside, specifically international students, we're paying upwards up to $15,000. But now that's basically all but eliminated from that standpoint. So from the costs everybody's going to be pretty much paying the same tuition bill. When you look at the number of students who are residing and matriculating through to UCLA Anderson, it's about a 15 to 20% mark. So we really put a lot of value into trying to recruit coast to coast. You know, I always say me and my huge team of 5, we try to cover the world, the globe, in trying to bring in the best talent. So again, we don't necessarily put any like sort of flags on anybody who or bad marks against anybody who resides in California, because we're trying to take the best candidates as possible.
Do you personally get to do some international travel?
I have,
That's
you
great.
know, in 1 year, my territories are India and China. So in 1 year, I did 100,000 miles of air miles. So I definitely had a chance to take advantage of all the perks. But yeah, I've been on every continent except for Antarctica doing recruiting.
That's pretty awesome, huh? Any favorites?
Oh wow, man, you're really shining the light on me. I did enjoy my trips to Morocco and Egypt. Europe is always fun to go to. I will have to say that even though I only spent like probably about 36 hours in Japan, I did enjoy my time there. It was like all brand new awareness, clean, very friendly, all that. So it definitely exceeded some of my own expectations.
How competitive is it? Those 360 slots. How many applicants are you getting to vie? And you know how are you making the decision? Is there an arm wrestling contest or you know?
Yeah, well, in a very good year, you know, we're getting over 3,500 applications, so we're very selective in a sense. So I say it is competitive, but you know, it's not necessarily just about the numbers. You know, go on our website, everything's there. It shows standardized test scores, GPAs, etc. We admit, you know, I don't want to share too much of those numbers. They'll be coming out for this year shortly, but you know, I would say that we admit, you know, a little bit above 20% the applicant pool. So, but for the most part, I think like the ones who make themselves much more competitive for our application pool are those who really know who we are. They do all the investigation about what kind of culture, what kind of individuals that we're looking for. And then it's just, I tell them, you get to the interview stage, it's a conversation. It's just there for you to close the deal. So no arm wrestling needed. It's all about like that person doing the research and then putting everything down on paper. And then it just goes from there.
I was doing some research and I wasn't aware of this before. I don't know if it fits into your bailiwick, but I was looking at the MFE designation, MBA of basically MFE, which is financial engineering, which would have been right up your bailiwick. So is that a relatively new degree or?
Yes. So within like just a little bit over 5 years ago, so before the pandemic, UCLA Anderson added an MFE. It also added a master's in data analytics program. So that financial engineering one, it's been around a little bit longer than the business analytics, but it kind of goes back to my point when we are constantly like monitoring the marketplace and seeing where there's a need. That is a specialized degree program. While it's not underneath under my direction, we've seen a tremendous amount of interest in that particular one. And as you might imagine, those who have more of a technical engineering background are sort of like fly to that particular graduate degree, especially since from a admissions standpoint, you don't necessarily have to have the amount or the recommended amount of work experience compared to just coming right out of undergrad for that applying to that particular program.
So the Anderson School offers how many different degrees? The MBA and the MFE and the.
So you have the basically 6 different degrees. So you have part-time, the full-time, the executive MBA programs. You have the data analytics, the MFE program, and then we have a degree that allows you to basically work. Go to school part-time in the US and then overseas. So it's a MBA and US. So it's in partnership with another partner university degree.
And pardon my ignorance in that, but is there a doctorate level of business? You know, a doctor of business administration.
Yes, you can get a PhD as well. I should have said 7 degrees. Yeah, PhD in at Anderson too. So Now, I will say it's definitely not the same level of coursework. Obviously, it's research based, but typically students are going through that about 3-5 years or more, depending on the research topic that they're focusing on.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's check here. How was the school named Anderson? Who was Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, John Anderson, long time ago, but very successful entrepreneur. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he had his interest in a lot of different areas. I believe real estate was one, and others. And I think the school, and this is before my time, they approached him, I think, basically in the early '90s, and at a time when it started to become a little bit of a trend. Schools were seeking partners from the business community to help advance their curricula, their real estate footprint, and more. And John Anderson made a contribution. And lo and behold, Anderson created a new complex there in 1995. And then his wife, a few years ago, before she passed away, most recently, she made another large donation, and that created another brand new real estate piece, as well as some other programming on our campus. So if anybody does come on the UCLA Anderson campus, you'll see Marion Anderson Hall. And that's our new building where my office now resides.
And does UCLA Anderson have a board?
They do.
And are there any board members present? Or former
So
board members?
I'm trying to look through the roster list here. I see Henry Brandon. He does know some of the other board members. I know that include Mel Lindsay, Jay Tucker. I don't know if when people are looking and listening to today's broadcast, they may know those names. But again, I'm looking through the list right now. I don't see anybody else, but if I miss them, speak up. I definitely don't want to ignore anybody.
Does anyone have questions? I'm looking here in the chat. I was paying attention to what you were saying, and usually Crystal and I share this, and so I was neglecting any other questions.
Yeah, Greg, this is Ardina. I did put a question in the chat.
All right, go for it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I was just asking, if you haven't been to college over 30 years, what type of documents are requested, for enrolling? Just say if you just want to just take a few classes.
Yeah, so depending if you just want to take some classes, documentation is really sort of minimal. Like even through our executive education program, they're much more condensed in nature. Some of those courses are only about a week at best. Some are online. Many classes are now being provided virtually online. The documentation level goes, my own words, sort of like gets a little bit more complex as you look at some of the degree programs. But for what you described, not at all, not very much. And then I also, while I still have my recruiting hat on, so this is always part of like my little pitch, is that we're on the broader UCLA campus. So, even considering that they have another suite of programs and courses and opportunities in partnership with the business school in some cases, that you can also look at as well, the extension. And UCLA is part of University of California. So at pretty much every University of California school, they have a UC extension type of programming. So it's very vast. Of course, if you want to come on campus, you're local here, then it's just kind of looking at what's available in those programming efforts.
What type of representation do you see at the UCLA Anderson from African American students, and from historically, is it on par in prior years? Is it increasing, decreasing? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, I would love to say, that, our job is done, we've met our goal, et cetera, but that is definitely not the case. I think that it has been improving, it's been getting better, but there's such wild swings in the market that it has made a challenge. So, I don't mean to kind of make the answer complex, but I've seen anywhere in a year where our numbers have gone up dramatically and then the next year go down. And really that comes from looking at what's available from a supply standpoint, as I like to say, because all the schools are competing for that talent. You know, it's a great time right now to pursue an MBA, in my opinion, because the schools they recognize the talent, they recognize the need for diversity. So, however, there's not enough to fill each one of our classes. Not every school is going down in class size, so they're trying to fill those seats. So, having said that, you know, Anderson, even when I was in school, the numbers were relatively low. They were around that 5-6% of the class that I mentioned earlier in my comments. And then it went all the way up to like 13-14%. And then now we're hovering like around 9-10%. So it does swing. And quite honestly, that's not too different from other schools. So while like you look at a school like HBS, huge class size, 800 to 1,000 students, depending on the year. So there's only 80 Blacks possibly in that particular class out of a class of 1,000. So, you know, we're all struggling and trying to make sure that we make the MBA opportunity aware as a great way, as it still has some great ROI.
And what about representation on the board of advisors for the Anderson School?
Yeah, I don't have as much of a purview into it, but I would say that I was at a board meeting recently about 3 weeks ago or a month ago. And I would say it's probably like around 10%. So 5 to 10%, somewhere in there, just from the faces that I saw. I don't get to interact as much, you know, versus like I know Jay, I know Mel as well. And I know that's on their mind in terms of trying to recruit individuals, especially with the retirement of one of our great faculty members, Al Osborne, as well, who did sit on the board. And I assume he's going to continue sitting on the board too.
Emily, you have a question? Got to unmute.
Here we go. Yeah, I do. Hi, everybody. Okay, just a quick question. Do they allow, I'm sure they do, like if you've gotten this, I mean, like you've been in business forever, like I have, to put towards your business experience towards a degree, so shorten your time in educational, you know, during the schooling time? And if so, what would you say?
So you're asking like based off of like your experience in owning
in business, yeah. Do they allow something like that to be transferred over to your education? So for instance, if you want to go for your MBA in business and you've been in business like nearly 20 years, what kind of time frame would that kind of cut down to? You know, like they should be able to utilize some of that.
Yeah, sure. So it's really like a lot of times in my work in admissions, it's like thinking or helping individuals understand or asking them like, why do you want to get an MBA? Okay, and then making sure that that you're looking at the appropriate or the right program fit for you. So based off of like what you described, I'm like the executive MBA might be a great fit, or even a part-time MBA, because then in that sense, hey, maybe you're not necessarily looking to move away from your business. You just want to gain some additional skill sets, expand your network. So they do value those individuals, because then in your cohort, your other classmates, they also may have the same level of work experience or experiences in general of owning a business. I know out of our Price Center for Entrepreneurship that I mentioned, Al Osborne, he's the faculty director who oversees that. They have basically like shorter modules, so it's not like years of studying, but more like a month programming. They've had anywhere like focusing on individuals who are in the healthcare space, as an example, helping those individuals while they may not necessarily walk away with like say a full MBA in no sense, they're actually walking away with a certificate or something of that nature. But yeah, short answer, yes, there is programming. There are formal degree programs that for the amount of experience that you described that are available, and you should definitely take a look at.
Barbara, you have a question?
Yes, thank you so much for your information this morning. And my question is, if a person has an MBA, what are some of the employment opportunities at UCLA, and where are the employment sites that we may be aware of? Thank you.
Sure. So yes, there are opportunities at UCLA for those who do have an MBA. I've seen, and like a lot of my purview is like on the business school. So just thinking about some of the transitions that have gone on campus recently, like typically in higher ed, people start shuffling and start moving around in the summer months. So like May, June, all the way through September, October. I've seen a couple of hirings and people coming on board at the dean level within different programs, associate deans, assistant deans, those who do have their MBAs. I know that at one point when we were doing a census of how many people with the UCLA Anderson MBA are working on the UCLA campus, I believe there were close to 90 or even 100 of those with those credentials working on the UCLA campus. So, 100 plus more of those who have MBA degrees from other schools are working in the UCLA campus. You were asking where to find that. I wish I could I knew the URL off the top of my head real quickly, and I'll work in unison here and I'll put it in the chat. But there is a site where you can investigate all kinds of job opportunities at UCLA, and then you can like sort and see what the degree requirements and more, and that'll just be really broader for UCLA so that you can look at and see what's available now.
Thank you.
What corporate, I wouldn't call them sponsorships or strategic partnerships are partnered with the Anderson School?
Oh, great question. So we have a number of partnerships across technology, finance, management consulting, really entertainment and media, energy. And those partnerships come in a variety of different formats, from recruiting opportunities for current students to sponsorship of our research centers. We have 8 on the campus in and of itself. For example, if individuals are looking at a particular career opportunity who are affiliated with UCLA Anderson, I know many times like those can come in form of possibly networking at the different conferences or more. I was just at Deloitte's university campus in Westlake, Texas last weekend, where over 170 of their employees who are sponsored by Deloitte to go get their MBA and then return back to Deloitte after they graduate, if they want, were in attendance, and I had a chance to network with them and tell them more about what Anderson is. But there's a lot of, because, when you look at California, right, we got a little bit of an exodus of a lot of Fortune 500 companies over the last, 20 years or more. So Anderson recognizes that, besides those who are local to the state, we've got to broaden our reach, and obviously too, like leveraging the alumni. So some of our most distinguished alumni, as we like to say, the president of YouTube is an alumna of Anderson. The CEO of Target, he's an alumnus of Anderson. The CEO of Nike is an alumnus. And then just because I'm name dropping, the CEO and founder of BlackRock out of New York City in the financial services arena is an Anderson alumnus too. So, a lot of connections, and I'm fortunate because of the work I do, I can kind of leverage some of those resources to kind of attract the talent from those companies and or make introductions to.
When did what year did the Anderson School begin? How far back?
Yeah, so definitely the 50s or even before the 50s. So I just know that the UCLA Anderson naming rights became established in 95, I believe. That's when we became the UCLA Anderson School of Management.
I'm just looking at something real quick. So Anderson graduated in 1940.
Yeah. And I should say the school was established in 1930, 35 or something like that.
Yeah. Wow. What degrees are you seeing as a predominance of bachelor degrees coming into the MBA program? I know that I had an opportunity, and I passed on it, but I have a BBA, Bachelor's of Business Administration. And had I remained, I would have only had one additional year to have completed the MBA because a lot of the courses overlapped. I was itching to get out of school and get to work, so I didn't take advantage of it. I don't know if that still exists, but what are the are pretty much people with bachelors of arts, bachelors of science, or what degrees generally transition into the MBA program?
Yeah, we do see, the top three coming into the program, those who have a business background, engineering, or the liberal arts or studies. But again, when you look at even those who are coming into the program from the diverse backgrounds and the interest that they're going into, we're not necessarily just focused in on one particular type of degree or school or focus area. But again, when you look at about 20% of all the degrees are in business, and then about 16% are in the engineering phase too.
Does the UCLA undergrad still offer? I mean, do they offer a BBA degree?
They do not offer a degree in business. We're one of the schools that does not have like a folks, but what was established, I believe, in 2018 or 19, we did develop a minor in entrepreneurship for undergrad students to participate in, and we've seen that program just take off because, again, most of the time undergrads who are interested in business would like focus on a degree in economics at the school. You and I were talking earlier about accounting. Again, that'd just be another popular degree at UCLA, and then eventually like, I think I might want to get a advanced degree in business. What else can I look at? Oh, here's an MBA. What do I need to do? Especially since we don't have an undergraduate program. So those are the ones that quickly come to mind. I just put in the job into the chat, the job site for UCLA that I mentioned earlier. So I just want to make a quick shout out to that. So if you click on that link, you'll be able to go and search through the database of which ones are now available and what kind of degrees and departments, et cetera, not just at UCLA Anderson, but the broader UCLA campus, pertaining back to that last or initial question.
Right there.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So the degree, the undergrad degree in accounting, what is that? Is that a Bachelor of Science degree then?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay, got it. Stephen,
Can I ask one more question? Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Okay, so I know you all probably do this, and you had mentioned something about the program that you had said something about business was taking off, this business program that you all created. Do they allow people with business experience, live business experience, to come and be guest speakers to these people or these individuals? Have they ever done anything like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I always kind of point people in the direction of, say, whatever their background is or their business is focused on. So again, I'm just kind of throwing things out here. Like if you're really passionate, or better yet, if you have like sort of like a business focus area, because I sat in on a workshop yesterday for students who are trying to start their own business. And one of the programs that we have, we basically have an accelerator, and they have a summer cohort. And yesterday's session was all about branding. And so one of the individuals who came in and spoke to the students was about like essentially messaging, who is understanding your target audience, et cetera, and more. And that was like a 1 hour workshop. They provide office hours so that the different teams can book on their own and speak with those individuals. I've seen the syllabus. I haven't actually sat in on it, but I've seen those who from the legal profession side, talk about, at least based on the syllabus, IP concerns, how to structure your business, things to think about, shares, et cetera. So that's one area through the Price Center for Entrepreneurship, the accelerator, where like I would like to speak with students. I've seen anywhere, like especially from the functional areas at the school, the departments like marketing, finance, et cetera, faculty bringing in individuals to complement some of the course teachings for the quarter, whatever that may be. So the short answer is yes. I think at the end of the day, it's kind of being like, who do you know, and what do you want? Like what do you want to share with the group? And I know, and I'm sure at the undergrad campus and other graduate degree programs on the UCLA campus, that those opportunities are available too. I think those are some of the best courses when you have the sort of the complement of, you have these faculty who are teaching all this theory and building the foundation, and then you actually have individuals who are actually doing it in the real world, right? To kind of give students a better idea of like, okay, yeah, maybe theory doesn't always work. Here's somebody who's out there, doing it and is at the front lines and can kind of say like, you know what, I tried this, that didn't necessarily work, but this has really been working well for me.
So how do you get in contact? Is there a certain department that allows that to happen, or
so
what do you got?
So I just put in the chat my email. You can reach out to me. Yeah, anybody can reach out to me, because what I see some familiar names on here. Like, and I like to use my partner in crime, Henry Brandon. What he knows is like is that I'm a connector. So as soon as I understand like what you're looking to do possibly and what your area of focus is, I may give you a little bit of homework and saying like, from based off what I heard from you, take a look at this department and see where you might be, where your interest might resonate, and then we can go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I see that Henry shared with us that John Anderson made his naming rights gift in 1987, and the name was adopted at that time. Before it was known as the UCLA Graduate School of Management and referred to as GSM. So,
thanks, Henry.
Alex, can you share with us, give us your 60 to 90 second wrap up? Why should anybody go to UCLA Anderson School of Management?
Oh man, this is great. I love that. Well, kind of goes back to what I was sort of sharing before we even started getting on camera with the rest of the group. One of the things when you look at how we define ourselves, UCLA Anderson, we say we have people, our community is about individuals who think fearlessly, drive change, and shared success. Those first two about having the smartest people, looking to not satisfied with the status quo, looking to disrupt markets, doing business differently, etc. A lot of schools can claim that. A lot of schools do. We're not ignorant to that, but we really feel like we own that last piece, that shared success. I know I benefited from it as a student, as an applicant, and now as an alumnus, 25 plus years out. One of the best things that I can say about my experience, and I see it consistent even with students today, with having such a diverse class, with having in a great city like Los Angeles, getting your MBA in an environment where people are really like looking at doing some things differently, doing some exciting things, whether it be in entertainment, management, consulting, finance, etc. I think it's a great sort of environment to really learn, not only from the people in front of the classroom, faculty, lecturers, etc., but people sitting right alongside you. And at the same time, they're learning from you too. So I think just being in an environment where we really may empower individuals to kind of get out of their comfort zone, make them feel comfortable with failing. Not too many people are comfortable with it. You're at least, you're in an environment for 2 years of like a safe environment, learning all these new things, making the best friends for the rest of your life. And then before you go out in the real world again, I think it's a phenomenal experience. And again, I'm an East Coast guy. I've lived in a lot of places. I even lived in Australia. Obviously, I've been out here in California for a long time, almost 30 years. And I like this environment. I was telling the Deloitte people, I like having options, and options being at least in Southern California, I can go find some of the best food, go to the beach, go snowboarding or whatever. And can you imagine doing that and getting your MBA for 2 years? I think it's just like a phenomenal experience. And last thing, just kind of going to the core of the UCLA DNA, that's what we're about. We're about giving back because we've had such a phenomenal experience, and we want more people to understand that. But my final piece is that the UCLA brand, that is worldwide. So that's another thing. Like, hey, you may not necessarily stay in Southern California in general, but when you go overseas, India, China, whatever, I always travel with gear. And so inevitably, like I was sitting in Houston, getting on the plane, somebody was like, "Go Bruins." And I was like, "Go Bruins." I don't know if they went to UCLA or not, but I was just like, hey, there's no mistake about, is that the University of, fill in the blank, Louisiana or something. So there you go.
Steven got his hat on, so I got to represent my university. Any out of curiosity, any athletes from the football or basketball team ever migrate into the MBA program?
So I'll throw a recent one who's looking at the program. Caleb Wilson. He was on the team, obviously, but there's definitely continued interest, and it's a matter, like I said, I know while they're not in the full-time MBA program, there's a couple going through the accelerator right now. And I'll do some name dropping here. I don't know if people remember Baron Davis, but NBA star from way back, Bruin on the basketball team. And so anyway, he partnered with one of the individuals who created a healthy wellness, not healthy wellness, a wealth-oriented app. It's called UNest, and it was based on her experiences from like the whole 401k, 451, et cetera, experience. And so I believe Baron Davis put in like 9 million. He's a partner in that venture too. So yeah, we do definitely see some stars. And oh, by the way, we had Real Madrid on campus this week. I saw Dak Prescott. I'm a Cowboys fan, so he was on campus on Monday. So we definitely see the athletic stars coming through the campus.
Did you say you're a Cowboys fan?
America's team.
Or you're breaking up? I think you're breaking up.
Now, I don't know if that helped or hurt in the ends of the program. So
yeah, it's a good thing you said that towards the end, right? Stephen, who we have next?
Next week on the community briefing on August the 4th, we have Patricia Click, a small business consultant, is doing some work not only in the corporate section, but with our small business community. So join us next Thursday on the community briefing.
Thank you. Alex, it was a pleasure having you join us today. Wealth of information about the program. And obviously, we encourage our community to pursue higher education. Wisdom and education are very important. Since you're with your engineering background, I'll share this with you. When I talk to engineering students, I always tell them to screw it down, don't screw it up.
Love that. I'm going to use that. I got a presentation next week, so I'm going to use that.
Engineers love that one. Okay. Yes. Well, thank you guys. Any announcements? Emma, you got anything? Michael, what's going on with Yolanda's there? What's going on? Anything to share?
Yeah, we're doing on the 54th and Crenshaw, Tanisha from Whitehall Arts. She runs a non-profit, and the Knowledge Shop and Nappy. We're all coming together to do a Rock the Block party this weekend, Sunday from 1 till 7. Free music, free events, and it's been sponsored by CDA, Holly Mitchell, Chase Bank. So we hope you'll come out and support us. It's on 54th and 6th. 3 blocks, pure partying.
And let me hear that accent again. Rock the block. How do you say that?
Rock the block.
Well, we know that COVID is still out there, so folks, mask up. Even if they decide not to put the mask mandate back in place, we're urging our people to continue to mask indoors because it's affecting us more than others right now. And be safe.
Awesome. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you for joining us today at the community briefing. On behalf of Crystal Mitchell, Stephen Turner, and Robin Billups, my name is Gregory Sneed, and Alex Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you guys a wonderful rest of the day, Thursday, a fantastic week, and join Yolanda in rocking the block. And mask up, stay safe, and educate yourself. Even if you don't have to matriculate at a higher institution, just read. Grab a book. Just get some wisdom.
Readers are leaders. Well said.
That's it. Very good. Very good. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop recording. Alex,
How
you
was
did
that,
great.
Greg?
Yeah, you did good, man.
Appreciate that. Let me know if you need anything else from me or
Yeah,
UCLA Anderson.
Crystal will she generally edits, and then by next week we can get a copy out to you so you can forward to all to your fan base
All
and
right.
to your coworkers. Yeah, I in hindsight I wish I had kind of gone back and just did that extra year, to do just do a 2 year program rather than just the one.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I was itching to just get out of school and start working, and I already had a job lined up. Um, the CPA firms. I got a degree in accounting
Uh-huh.
and a BBA in accounting, and so they came to our campus and interviewed. So all of us pretty much left with a
Uh-huh.
job offer, by the time we graduated. So we were able to just kind of enjoy the summer
Yep.
and start in the fall. So that was pretty
I
cool.
I know how that goes. I know how that goes. You get a certain point, you're like, well, let me take this and maybe I'll circle back one day or whatever. So yeah.
Do you still tinker with the electronics and the electrical side, or?
Oh man, I wish I have to kind of do the wisdom or eyes of my kids, but they're all they get as close as video games, in the consoles. But I'm like, man, I remember when I would have the kits and play around with that stuff. But the internet is killing me. It's killing me.
When I was in undergrad, I was on the we had a college radio station, and so I wanted to engineer my own show, so I had to get my FCC license.
Uh-huh.
And back then, in order to get that license, you had to study circuitry.
Okay.
We had to know Ohm's law and all that,
Uh-huh.
and they would give you they'd give you a wiring diagram,
Uh-huh.
and you had to figure out all the impedance and the
Uh-huh.
voltage that was going to each
Yeah.
each place, and to give you the easy one first, and then you would get one that was like
Yep.
I don't know how many resistors and capacitors on there. You had to try and figure it out with
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it was pretty crazy.
Oh my goodness, you're taking me back now.
Yeah, yeah, Ohm's law, right? Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So yeah, it was, and of course a lot of a lot of FCC rules and regs.
Uh-huh.
And then I had my ham radio,
Uh-huh.
ham radio license.
Oh man.
And CB. In fact, I still have one of my radios in the garage. I need to
Okay.
I don't have an antenna, but I gotta fire it up and
Right. Right.
get an
Man.
antenna out there. And so I learned how to. I opened it up and tweaked the power, beyond the legal.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You write to the company and you get the diagram back. So okay, yeah, I can do this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you have to take back my my comment earlier. It's like when I said like, oh man, we lost another one, but you continued on. You continued on, the interest level.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course I still do connection of my home audio.
Okay. Okay.
Doing my wiring and what have you. But that's about the extent of it. But
Right.
It's so advanced now, what's happening is
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's probably why, I again got the engineering degrees, but I'll be the first one to say probably, don't do it just as like today as I used to, but still intrigued or curious about anything that has technology related to it, cars, free refrigerators, whatever you have it. I'm just like, man, the connected world.
Yeah, well, we studied. So I graduated before the PC was out.
Uh-huh.
So we were studying actually Fortran and COBOL.
Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep.
And punch cards and Hopper. And,
Yep.
So now stuff's so much easier.
Yes. Yep. I was probably a little bit more on the Taylor end, like learning Fortran and going with my sister when during the summer she was taking a summer course at a local college there, Trenton State College. It used to be called College of New Jersey. Now she would have do the programming, punch cards, take it over. I didn't appreciate it as much as like later. I'm just like, oh my gosh, yeah, I understand now.
and the last thing you want to do is drop the deck. So you make sure you strap it around. That's the last thing you want to do is drop the deck. Yeah, that goes back. So I'll still tinker around a little bit here and there, but
Cool, cool, awesome. Well, I'm gonna get run. I gotta go pick up my son from soccer camp at UCLA, believe it or not. So
daddy duties, yeah.
yep. But hey, again, appreciate the opportunity, and like I'll look out for the edited version, and definitely share recording to my so-called followers, as you say, and we'll like get more people aware of the community briefing. This is great.
How old is your son?
I have two, 12 and 12 and 15.
12 and 15. Okay.
Yeah, so the 12-year-old is at camp now. 15-year-old did that last week.
All right. And neither one of them are looking at USC, right?
I'm an equal opportunity person.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know,
Good.
again, like, you know how it is. You go to the sort of like the grad, you have your undergrad, and then you go to the grad school space, so you don't get ingrained as much. And I'm like, yeah, so people talk about that USC, UCLA. I can see it, you know, but I'm like, I wasn't here for 4 years to build up that level of competitiveness.
I'm above that.
Yes, I'm above that.
I'm
So,
above that.
so if they get a full ride to USC, I'm like, hey man, no worries.
Go
If you
for it,
like
yeah.
it, if that's where you want to go, there you go. You know, I'll pull you back into the UCLA ecosystem for grad school or something. So no love lost.
There's a guy named Raymond Reed, who was an attorney,
Uh-huh.
and he went through the UCLA. He got his MBA. I think 80. Might have been class of 85 or 86.
Uh-huh.
He just passed not too long ago, and they had a memorial service for him at on the campus, at the UCLA campus at the alumni hall.
Oh, really?
His name is Raymond. Yeah, Raymond Reed.
Uh-huh.
He had his law degree from Whittier Law, and then he went and got his MBA.
Uh-huh.
Became a entertainment attorney.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard of him. I have to look him up.
Yeah, Raymond Charles Reed, and I believe he's class of 85. I think. Yeah, he graduated 83 from Whittier, so I think he's 85. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, I have to look him up.
And of course, you know Kevin Harbor.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Kevin and I met Kevin when I first moved to California. Kevin and I were living in the same apartment building.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was in 84. So I've known Kevin a very long time.
Uh-huh. Wow. Did you guys knew you were in the same building, or is this like you bumped into each other?
No. I swear I met him. I met him as a result of being neighbors.
Okay.
Previously. No.
Yeah.
I met him in 84 when I first came here, and he was already in the building, and I met him then.
Got it.
Kind of remained in touch and friends since then. So.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
Well, that's great.
Yep. Take care, buddy. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Greg. Have a good day. Bye.